Hello everyone and welcome to the Starni Games developer stream. Today we will play the newly updated Strategic Mind Fight for Freedom demo, and while we wait for the release, which will be on the 21st of May, all of you can download and play for free Strategic Mind Fight for Freedom demo, which is available on its store page. And we've updated it recently on the 8th of May actually, and now it has both first operations in the United Kingdom campaign and in the United States campaign. So
the best diplomatic efforts of the Western powers.
As Europe burns, the new world has finally come to rescue the old. After victories in North Africa and Italy, the Allies are bringing the full might of the US Army to Europe, intent on ending the threat of Nazism once and for all. With the Allies invading from the west and the Red Army pushing from the east, the German army is caught between a rock and a hard place. But the cornered enemy is always the most dangerous one. You will take the role of Supreme Allied Commander Dwight Eisenhower, and although the war is in its last stages, you will have your hands full. The desperate Germans still have plenty of tricks up their sleeves. Generals Montgomery and Patton are at each other's throats. The Soviets have their own agenda, and back in America, a terrible new weapon is being developed, bound to change the course of history. Keep your faith staunch and your arms resolute. Great battles lie ahead. Godspeed, General Eisenhower.
yes, so we've already covered the United Kingdom campaign in the older version of the demo, so in the next stream I'll play the updated version, but today let's jump into the brand new United States campaign with its first signature operation, Normandy landings, and let's go.
D-Day is upon us. American forces and our British allies are coming in to save Europe from the Nazis. General Donovan, any new intel on the enemy defenses?
Nothing new. The bulk of Army Group B is deeper inland, far from the landing zone. And Field Marshal Rommel is on vacation.
The enemy isn't expecting us, just as planned. Monty, how goes the landing? A situation report now.
Our forward units have already landed. Now they have to secure themselves a beachhead by taking Wistram and Port and Bessan-Yupan.
As soon as we take the ports, we'll start landing our main forces as they arrive.
We can hardly hope for a successful landing before we destroy the forts at the Atlantic Wall. As long as they're operational, our units on the shore will be caught between a rock and a hard place.
You are correct, but luckily, we've got the fleet artillery and strategic bombers. If we use it well, we will have more than enough capacity to level those forts.
Besides, our paratroopers already landed in the enemy's rear near Argence to neutralize the Merville gun battery and capture the airfield for us. Soon, it will be the Hun between the rock and the hard place.
Yes, so we have lots of objectives right now, and we'll have even more. So it could be a bit overwhelming for the new players. I would recommend playing the British campaign first, as it goes in a bit more smoothly. Like here we already started in 1944, and there are lots of units, lots of different skills and things that you should know, so it could be a bit difficult to start with the Normandy landings, but I'll do my best to show you some tricks especially if you're new to the game, so it could help you a lot with your first playthrough. So I've already played this operation a number of times during the playtesting to make sure that everything goes smoothly. So and we've been rebalancing some stuff and so on. So of course I have already, you know, have lots of experience playing this operation. So of course it's much easier for me than for anyone who's playing it for the first time. That's why I will probably do some very precise moves that I've learned from my previous playthroughs, but it could be useful if you are struggling with this operation to see how I tackle these problems and maybe learn a couple of new tricks for yourself. So what do we have here? We have paratroopers landed here, and basically we cannot deploy our aircraft before we capture any airfield. Well, basically you can capture any airfield, this one or this one or this one, but the easiest one to capture is this one because we already have paratroopers landed here. So basically right now we have 3 B-17 strategic bombers, and it shows that they are out of fuel because there is no allied airfield in the vicinity. So it will, the red boxes will go away if we capture airfield on time. Canisters rather. Yeah, but those are strategic bombers and they have lots of fuel, so they can be up for quite a while. While we cannot deploy tactical bombers because they have only 40 fuel and they could run out of it before we capture the airfield. So our first task would be capturing airfield, and then number 2 would be capturing 2 key ports, which would allow landing of additional heavy troops. So right now we have only infantry landings, but we need ports to be able to unload tanks, artillery and other heavy machinery. So yeah, so the plan for now would be to capture an airfield, capture the ports and neutralize Merville gun battery, which is quite easy to do because we have commandos with flamethrowers, and flamethrower equipment allows the unit to deal damage equal to its strength to any fortifications. So we will use our British commandos. Well, basically it's a US campaign, so we also have US paratroopers here, but you will often get lots of British units under your command because it's an allied operation after all. So let's move our commandos in close. So the battery only fires in this arc, so we are basically in its blind zone. It's now turned max to the left, so let's attack it from behind with flamethrowers. And basically we've captured it.
Neutralized.
Excellent. Those weapons were a serious threat to our landing troops. I'm glad that battery is no more.
Okay, so now we have it under our control. When you defeat any fortification in close combat, you basically capture it with half strength. So now we can even fire on some enemy positions here with it, although it wouldn't be very powerful because of low strength. So I would move this unit next to this port to get ready for the attack. And I also want to move this destroyer in here. Basically, naval units are very powerful in terms of firepower. So basically, we'll have no troubles fighting near the coast because we have quite a powerful navy here. But it's tricky because unlike usual units, they have modules like different ship parts. So unless you've played previous titles in the series and know how the naval operations work, I really suggest you play the naval tutorials first. We have an extensive, like have new tutorials out, and there are like 5 land operations and 3 naval operations, so that would really help you a lot if you are struggling with naval combat. So now I'll choose destroyer's main gun. It has 2, basically it can attack twice per turn, so I will start firing on this flag gun. And if I moved here before I captured Merville gun battery, you see its firing range, so my destroyer would get attacked by this gun and would be unable to move in here and attack this gun. So it's very important to capture the battery first and only then move in with your navy. Okay, so now let's move in close to the flag gun and attack it. Okay, so it got supported by this long-range German artillery, but basically we captured the
Units
airfield.
have secured one of the German airfields.
Excellent. I'll give orders to send in the tactical aviation.
Multiple Luftwaffe planes have been spotted approaching the area of operations. Prepare for an air raid.
Okay, so we've got our tactical aircraft now, and so we should make sure to keep intact the green and round-shaped strength indicator ones, because those would be transferred to the next operations, and the yellow and hexagon-shaped ones are only for this battle. So you still lose prestige for repairs, like non-core units repair, and we've got our paratroopers damaged, so we get -7 for that. And here is one of the historical tracks playing that we've asked the Rubber Studio to record specifically for this project and this campaign. Yeah, so basically if you lose non-core units, you would still pay 20% of their price at the end of operation, but at least you don't lose a unit that could be moved to the next operations with you. Okay, so yeah, so now we have to capture this port basically. I would use one of our King George battleships for this. Let's move our British battleship here. And battleships and heavy cruisers can actually launch seaplanes, so we can launch those 3 times per operations. And I don't see the enemy strength here, so I'd rather launch a seaplane and move it in here probably for some additional reconnaissance. And actually this seaplane has a carrier base, yeah, of course, but it's also forward observer, so it improves artillery attacks against enemies in the vicinity. So now the battleship has main gun and second gun, both can attack 2 times, and also anti-aircraft gun. So let's start firing. And we don't want the enemy to retreat from this hex, because otherwise we would be unable to attack it this turn. Let's see. Yeah, so it still occupies. Okay, we cannot actually attack it successfully, so we'll have to move additional destroyer down here. And yeah, well, that's a bit unfortunate. Oh, okay. You see, this Merville gun battery was quite useful. So we've captured the port, although I probably shouldn't have moved here before dealing with this artillery fort and usual fort. So, well, the seaport is now at 0 0 HP, so we couldn't land here for like 3 more turns because it needs to be repaired. It's not functioning now. It functions only if it has at least 6 HP. So if you try to land here and you don't understand why the troops that will arrive later cannot land, that's probably because either enemy holds the seaport or because it's at low HP and it restores 2 HP per turn, so we're basically stuck here now. If you can, you should try to avoid damaging it, or at least damage it not so badly. Okay, so I'll try to demine with sapper squads. Those are sent from the unit. And let's start moving here. I want to try to move in here and destroy this fort, but they're still in the firing range of this thing. So ideally we would want to destroy that first turn so that these guys don't get attacked during the enemy turn. But we also have a second support to deal with, and it also requires our attention, so we should make sure we spread our resources correctly. Okay, so for these guys I'll just move into the city out of the firing zone of this guy, so it won't fire on us, and attack it from behind with flamethrowers. We actually have LTV2s. Okay, so this is a beer-barreled polka that was added on after community voting, basically. We first thought about adding another track, but players' community suggested that we add this one instead, so we did exactly that. We wanted to experiment a bit and, you know, have something of that era, but not necessarily like military march in the soundtrack as well. I have plenty of marches there as well. Okay, so here's probably some enemy infantry unit, but now we have to capture this fort and deal with this fort so that our guys can move in here. So I'd move my battleship here. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, it's a heavy cruiser, Northampton class. So let's actually also send in the seaplane, although we can see that there is enemy overwatch everywhere because of this anti-aircraft gun. So let's actually fire at it. Okay, now we can move it around freely. Oh, not freely, because there is another anti-aircraft gun here. But we've probably seen enough, so let's concentrate our fire. Yeah, let's attack first with our strategic bombers. So I think this gun was is now weakened enough so that it doesn't deal major damage to our aircraft. And let's use our tactical bomber to finish it off. Okay. Now we can also deal with this one. We have to deal with those pillboxes ASAP because they prevent our infantry landed on the beach to move in and take over the port. Okay, and now we have to deal with this pillbox as well. So let's send in our strategic bomber. And then let's try to use one of our fighters. And we'll probably finish it off with our battleship. Okay, we've dealt with those guys. Okay, so now we can attack this relatively safely. Well, let's do exactly that and capture the seaport.
It seems our boys have gotten a solid foothold. The Germans have been kicked out of all the coastal key points.
Great news. Now the second wave can land. The first phase of the operation is successful. Now, we must expand the beachhead by taking the following settlements: Saint Lo, Coutances, Bayeux, Tourigny-sur-Vire, Villers-Bocage, Cannes, and Grainville-Langaneri.
Okay, so now we got reinforcements and basically US forces and our core army is landing here, and the British troops, well, the sea transports, yeah, but those are actually British troops inside, so those are landing near Cannes. Yeah, so let's move in this safe zone with our guys in here and take this pillbox for now. Those are also some British commandos there. Okay, so okay, we have one free shot left here. Let's start bombarding this infantry. So this port is also destroyed, as you can see, but fortunately it's at 5 strengths, 5 HP, so it will restore it at the end of our turn. So during allied turn, these guys would be able to land in here. So that's probably the lowest you could get away with when capturing those without delaying the landing, actually. Okay, so now we have to cover our planes from the German attack, so try to place your fighters so that they are next to your bombers. So I placed my bombers specifically this way, so they are like around this fighter and will be protected from the enemy attacks. So I'll move my fighter in here and cover this bomber, which is unprotected by this fighter. And also some of my units have level up. Well, actually they get first level for free because we started in 1944, so they've actually got some really nice training or combat experience before. That's why you can already level up them from the get-go. So all non-core units are already leveled up, and core units you get to level up them yourself. So I'll go for boom and zoom, and for the bombers I'd probably choose all weather. Yeah, so right now we have only 2 core units, this B-17 and this B-26, but when our troops will land we'll get more. Also let's move these guys in here. And they weren't auto-attacked because we've already attacked this pillbox with fighter, so it couldn't use its overwatch ability to fire on our guys. And I think this should be it. Oh no, we actually have a couple more destroyers available. So let's bring them closer to our land forces to actually protect them from the German aircraft that we were told before, and make it something like this. Yeah, I think now we are through with our first... Oh no, we have actually one more destroyer. Yeah, let's move it in here. Okay, those guys ran away. Yeah. You can press the N button on your keyboard to select the next unit that still has some movement available. So yeah, now we have only some additional movement for the planes, but I don't want to move them. So let's end the turn and see what happens next. Okay, so that pillbox got destroyed. This plane got overwatched, fortunately, by our... Okay, those guys are in a world of suffer. Actually, they recaptured the airfield, so we are in trouble there, because our aircraft cannot land right now. It's really hard when, even when you capture something with paratroopers, they are really unlikely to survive the enemy counterattack, because they've landed deep into the enemy rear, so basically they have no support, and it's really risky operating with any like paratrooper units, because those would be left there without support, and enemy has plenty of forces around. So as you can see, because the port is damaged, my transport cannot land troops there, so they are basically sitting here and waiting for the port to be repaired. And these blue units, they are basically friendly AI controlled, but those are basically they come under your command when they are landed, so we have to make sure this port is in our hands and is repaired, so then they could start landing the troops. Okay, but this port is now at 7 HP, so it was repaired just in time for the landing. Although these guys that were at 0 strength restored its strength and are now firing on our landing troops. So it's basically quite a rough landing for our forces. Yeah, so basically they've landed in all empty hexes, and now these next ships, they cannot unload units because there is no hexes to unload. So basically they are also like waiting in here to when there is some free space available for the landing.
General Eisenhower, we're about to be in a spot of bother. My scouts report incoming panzers from the southeast. It seems the German counterattack is coming.
I believe you'll find a way to repel it. The German armor beats ours, but our bombers beat all, and we have total air superiority. Destroy those tanks, Monty. That should cool the Germans down a bit.
Well, it's kind of tricky because we've lost this airfield and this port is damaged, so we really cannot land additional troops in here. So I guess for now we will just bring those guys here and go on the defensive before we land additional troops. So let's use our captured gun. Actually, yeah, that was pointless. Let's capture it this way. Let's send the sappers. Yeah, although that wasn't very successful on the part of sappers. Yeah, okay, let's move these guys here. These are not sappers, these are like regular squads, so... Okay, let's move these guys in here and demine. Okay, let's actually keep this destroyer here for now and keep firing on this aircraft to give some, at least some anti-air capabilities to our troops around the port area. And let's start firing. Let's actually... I don't know, let's attack these guys. They've probably retreated, but that's something at least. Let's go in here, launch a seaplane, and get rid of this Okay, so we are kind of in trouble here, but I think we will just sit and wait for the port to repair, and we'll use our ships to get additional firepower against the German counterattack coming in here, trying to throw us back into the sea. So, but here we've got a much better situation, so of course we have some troubles with this enemy aircraft, but I guess we could use our destroyers to make some combat patrol along the beach and try to negate that threat. Let's capture this last remaining toolbox here.
Finally, those damned forts have been dealt with. With those things firing all guns, our boys on the beach couldn't even raise their heads.
Splendid. That will teach the Jerrys not to rely too much on their concrete boxes.
Yeah, so yeah, our only... Yeah, let's move those guys here to flank the enemy troops in this city, and we have to deal with those guys because they keep firing on our new troops that arrive in the seaport area. So we've already got our beautiful Sherman tanks damaged because of it. Let's level those up. And these are our core tanks, so I really do mind that. Let's learn Night Hunter for some additional night combat capabilities. And let's level this tank up as well. And let's also... Oh! We've landed our anti-aircraft gun, so that's nice because basically we can start dealing with those aircrafts more efficiently. Let's learn increased range, and let's actually fire at these guys. Okay, now we could actually those secondary guns of Northampton class actually are dual purpose, so they can be used both against aircraft and against land targets. So first let's deal with these guys. And let's move in with our tanks and capture those. Okay, now let's use our HQ skills. So you can press this button to get additional HQ skills, and we've got aviation, recon and airstrike. So let's use actually let's use a recon around this area. Okay, so as I said, it's still a demo, so probably haven't uploaded the so there is some problem with unit model for the US seaplane. I'll make a note to myself so that we can fix it in the next update, and we'll surely get it fixed before the release on the 21st of May. So yeah, we can run into a couple of minor issues here while we play, but nothing too critical, hopefully. So yeah, let's keep on going. And we've spotted the anti-air the flag here. We've already seen it before, so it has to be dealt with, but it's tricky because it has pretty nice anti-tank capabilities as well. So we'll have to think how to deal with it, and whether we want to run for this airfield or deal with the enemy aircraft first. So let's actually now move this Northampton closer and start firing on this aircraft. I think we can move these guys in and also fire at this guy, and then fire on this guy. Yeah, so destroyers are quite deadly to enemy aircraft when there are a lot of them. Okay, so let's try and deal with those guys. Yeah, so we've downed one fighter and second one is out of strength. Yeah, and here are only the bombers. So we are now in a lot better position in terms of air force. We can try to attack those with strategic bombers because they have really high ground defense parameters. But I'd rather clear this area first, though I don't think we can do it without dealing with this aircraft. So yeah, let's actually try and use strategic bombers on it. So first I've summoned the strategic bombers from the headquarters skill, and now I'll attack with my non-core strategic bombers on the weakened enemy AA. It's kind of a waste to use so much resources for this flag gun, but I just feel that if we deal with it, and I've got one non-lethal damage, so it will be easily repaired, that it would be... So now the enemy is out of ammunition, 0 out of 5. You can see that by looking at this red ammo icon next to its strength. So it's a red dot, and when you put mouse over it, it becomes red ammunition icon. So it cannot fire until it restores its ammunition. So now we can basically attack it without retaliation. Let's use our tactical bomber to deal with it. Okay, so it retreated under our air units that cannot move, but fortunately we have a tank, and it already captured one unit, but when it defeats an enemy unit, it triggers an overrun skill, so it can keep on attacking until it keeps, like every time it finishes off enemy unit, until it runs out of ammo basically, or movement. So let's move it closer to the airfield. It can both move and attack again. So let's capture this demoralized 0 strength flag gun. And basically we can move in and capture the airfield. I'm a bit hesitant to cross the river because I think this is a nice defensive position here and we don't know what forces the enemy has here. So this is, as you can see at the top of the screen, those hexes have small river bank. So basically small river, it's not just visuals, they apply combat penalties if you try to attack across. So if the enemy tries to attack our tank from this side in close combat, they would suffer penalties, although they can fire on it without any issues. So let's move in another tank in here to reinforce our position. Okay, so let's also move our anti-aircraft gun a bit closer to make sure it can protect us from potential enemy aircraft attacks. It shows like its ground range, but it has larger range when firing at aircraft. It has +2 from Safe Sakai skill and +1 from extra reach that we've leveled up a couple of minutes before, so it actually has a pretty huge range when it comes to aircraft units. Okay, let's move our infantry closer, because those tanks, they are just too far ahead, and without support I don't think it's a good idea to keep them there. So let's move these guys in the city to block these enemy units. So we already have them flanked from several sides, and they probably are not getting supplies. Yeah, so this is the enemy supply point, but it has to get supplies somewhere, and it cannot get supplies from this direction because it's blocked by our unit. So as you can see, this is off limits to the enemy, and it cannot get supplies from this port because we have unit in here, and it cannot get supplies through here because we have our tanks in there. So those guys are basically encircled and they don't get new supplies. Unfortunately, they have full ammo, so basically they can still fire for quite a while before they run out of ammunition. So basically they have their local stockpiles full, but they don't get any replenishment from the rear. Okay, so let's see what do we have left. We should probably transfer some of our air force down here, because things could get tricky. Let's see what we can do. So we've already used, so we can use these tabs to select between like naval units, ground units and aircraft units. And here you can see this gray canister means that your unit has already moved this turn, and gray ammo means it already fired this turn. So let's see, we have only like 1, 2, 3, 4 bombers that haven't bombed anything yet this turn. So let's actually move them closer to here, and I don't necessarily have to destroy this pillbox, but I just want to have them closer at hand in here.
Our strategic aviation was most impressive in this operation. Good thing the Air Force took a break from bombing the enemy rear and decided to help out on the front line as well.
Getting the Air Force to support us took some convincing. Those gentlemen claimed deploying our bombers here would be like hunting ducks with a flak cannon. Turns out, with the resistance this heavy, carpet bombing was exactly what we needed.
Yeah, so let's keep those planes closer to here. And I guess we'll try to recapture the airfield, probably next turn. But, oh, sorry, we already have this airfield, so unless we lose it, we could basically refuel our planes in here. Yeah, so with this destroyer, I'd start already firing on this anti-tank gun, because infantry in the city, while it's heavily entrenched, is really tough target for the artillery. Well, you should target it with artillery, but for a destroyer it's probably a bit too much. It's not wouldn't be very effective. So yeah, let's actually undo this move. Don't know what I wanted to do there, but it's not the best place for it. Let's keep it here and use it anti-aircraft capabilities. We can already start firing on these guys as well, with all cannons. Should have probably launched another seaplane here, because we don't know what's actually going on in here, so it's not very good. Not very effective. Enemy gets a defensive bonus when you don't see its strength, so... okay, so now we've dealt with the naval units, and we can probably... just bomb these guys, I don't know. Why not? And also, usually units that has 0 strength but 3 damaged would restore damage damaged at the end of the turn, and would have 3 strength back, but because it's non-lethal damage basically. But now that they are encircled, they are out of supply and they cannot restore their wounded, so we'll easily capture. Actually, we can finish them off with our tank and get some experience for our core units. I don't want to attack these guys just yet. We'd need to make some preliminary bombardments first, either with artillery or with aircraft. I think we should be done now. Let's actually move this infantry. No, let's not move it anywhere for now. We'll move it next turn. Although it might be a good idea to move it to this forest to be able to attack the enemy airfield next turn, but we have this dive bomber here, so that's also not very good. But no, let's keep it in here for now, especially with that enemy counterattack going somewhere there, it's too risky. Okay, let's proceed to the next turn and see what the AI has in store for us. I'll get a sip of my ginger tea. Okay, so unfortunately our landing party got damaged by the enemy bombers, and now our core units in here are under attack, so I probably shouldn't have moved my tanks so far forward. Okay, as you see, they've crossed the river and only then attacked. Okay, so they've captured one of our tanks. That's really a poor play on my part. Shouldn't have moved that far. And I lost one of my core units, which is quite unfortunate. Okay, so these guys don't know what to do because the seaport is still damaged and they cannot land, and they are getting attacked by the enemy bombers, but I hope that we can transfer our fighters to this side this turn and deal with those bombers to keep our landing party safe. Okay, so but here we are in a much better spot. Can launch our can land our core units here.
Ike, it seems the Han command has decided to finally get a grip on the situation. According to my agents, a train loaded with German troops and equipment is currently headed for San Lo. If they reach the destination and disembark, you'll have your hands more than full.
Thank you, Bill. Our landings took the Germans by surprise, but they were going to react sooner or later. And thanks to your intel, they won't do as much damage as they could have. We'll try to destroy the enemy forces while they are still on the move.
Okay, so now the night has come and all damage is severely reduced, and the visibility as well, though now we can enjoy the beautiful spotlights, sorry, the searchlights, sorry, but yeah, we have to deal with those bombers first of all, so let's start doing so. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so these hexes are occupied by our own forces, so we cannot move our destroyer in close, although we can fire on this unit, so let's do exactly that. And we can also move in with the heavy, with the battleship, and start firing with our dual-purpose gun against the enemy bombers for now. And then we could use additional help. Okay, so let's move those guys in here for now, and let's actually occupy this forest and move these guys closer. Okay, so now we can use our we've dealt with enemy fighters here, so we can probably transfer all of our aircraft down here and try to engage the enemy. Okay, let's actually use both Overwatch Breakthrough and Afterburner, because we don't know what might happen along the way. Fortunately it wasn't Overwatch. Oh, no, it was. Okay, so let's keep moving and attack this bomber, and then move. Oh, just yes. So you see, when you use Afterburner, it gets +4 move points, so you can reach further targets. Let's deal with this guy. Okay. So this turn we would actually start landing these guys. There is not much place, but at least a couple of them. And because the port will be up to 6 HP after I finish my turn. So it was really unfortunate that we lost this tank unit. This was not something that should happen. So take notes for yourself when you're playing this operation. It's hard to deal with enemy infantry at night, so I'd rather start bombing these tank units. And try to recapture the airfield. So yeah, let's try to attack it with a sudden attack, so they didn't see me. That's why I fired first on them, basically. Okay, we've unloaded some M7 priests, so let's get them mobile level up and move them a little bit closer. Start firing on those guys. Let's also level up these rangers, because right now they cannot reach this area, but I really want them to, so I'll learn First March and then use Forced March to get them in position. Though I'd rather keep them in the forest for now. Yeah, those should also get a Forced March. And maybe move in here. Yeah, so we've also got ourselves an M18 anti-tank, so for this one I'd rather take a resolute attack. Let's move it in here. Okay, so that was unexpected, but at least we've dealt with this enemy unit. Let's actually move here.
Tank division arriving at the village of Villers-Bocage. It's led by Mikhail Wittmann, one of the best tank aces in the Panzerwaffe.
I heard about him. A veteran of the Eastern Front, been a bogeyman for the Russians for almost 3 years. They say he alone has scored more than 200 kills.
Makes his Tiger all the more precious a trophy. Hopefully with Whitman still inside. Who knows how many of our boys he can knock out before he's stopped?
Let's not find out. Give word for our troops to start the hunt. Whitman must be neutralized.
Well, now things get much more interesting. We ran into Whitman, so I guess we're in trouble now. Let's bomb this artillery first. Use some of our aircraft to keep bombing it, and finish it off with the tanks, and finish it off again. Yeah, we are almost out of ammo, and we are also quite low on fuel, so as you see, our ammo is now yellow. We can fire, but we are low on ammunition right now. Yeah, so let's move our artillery to this forest. Yeah, and see what we can do. So let's actually move one more unit in here, and let's use these guys to... Okay, they cannot attack that fighter, probably only with dual purpose guns. Yeah, so let's just fire at it twice and maybe fire at the enemy units in here. Oh, actually, yeah, as I said, I should really summon the frontline observer here and keep firing. Let's move into the city and try to attack. Yeah, so it's basically at one strength. Yeah, let's fire at these guys. No, not very beneficial to attack. Okay, so we should probably send one of those tactical bombers back in here to help out against these tanks. But then they won't be able to help here, so would probably be better. Okay, let's go Let's actually take the airfield and try to use one more bomber to attack it. And keep attacking. Yeah, we'll have to repair that airfield, otherwise our bombers would run out of fuel very fast. At least they are close to the airfield, so if we keep control of it, they can just land and wait for the repairs of the airfield and then get refueled. So that's also a plan B in case we cannot repair the airfield in time. Yeah, so I think now we are done. It's not going very smoothly, but we'll pull through. So, as I've said, this operation is actually quite tricky compared to our usual, like, first operations of the campaign, because it's already in 1944. So, if you are a new player, I would probably suggest playing the British operations first, or choosing a lower difficulty settings to get accustomed with all the mechanics and stuff like that. So here comes when Johnny comes marching home track, also one of the historical tracks which are actually community funded. So if you purchase a soundtrack for the game, you help us add more historical tracks for the series. So this is the second project where like half of the soundtracks were community funded, because we usually transfer all funds we get from soundtrack purchases towards new tracks. Yeah, so let's end the turn. Actually my favorite one out of from this project. I like all of them, but this one just, I don't know, it's my favorite. Okay, so one of our ships got damaged by the enemy artillery fire. Okay, and so here comes Whitman tank. We are about to lose our second core unit, but fortunately this bomber got overwatched. And this tank has to retreat since it's out of ammo and out of strength. Oh, a new artillery fort we've located. Okay. New enemy tank forces, but not much luck. Well, I guess the Whitman attack would have been much more deadly. Oh, here comes the German counteroffensive. So this is Puma recon and some panzers. So I guess the Whitman attack would have been much more deadlier during the daytime. So we've got somewhat lucky with the nighttime, because if it wasn't for the night, our tank there would have been devastated. Units with heroes are really powerful, so for instance that Whitman attack, it was a double attack, so...
I will be landing as well, along with the rest of my command staff. I will oversee the invasion personally.
Okay, so... basically General Eisenhower has landed here, and this is our player character. So he's now with this HQ recon unit. You can later transfer your HQ to any tank or recon unit you want, but for now we'll keep him in the recon. Okay, so our main worry point is here right now, but we are also getting counterattacked here. So I guess we'd have to deal with Mikhail Whitman's attack first, although I'm not sure we can reach it. Yeah, probably we can. Okay, it gets overwatched by Whitman because it has Overwatch. skill. Let's actually bomb him and see where that takes us and move closer to the airfield. Okay, so this bomber can still attack. And this one. I guess we'll retreat with this tank for now. We'll attack it with this brave M18, but we need some additional help first. Okay, can we attack it with this aircraft? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think we can. So if you don't move with an aircraft, you cannot just, you know, wait there for the refueling. It will lose at least 5 fuel per turn. But if we move 6 hexes, it won't be additional. We won't spend another fuel. So if you move at least 5 hexes, you don't spend extra fuel for the aircraft being in the air. But if you move less than 5 hexes, then you would spend 5 fuel. So let's actually come and attack this Wittmann's Tiger unit. Basically, Tiger tanks are very strong, but we have air superiority, so that's why we can deal with it relatively easily. We got lots of experience.
It seems Mikhail Wittmann is finally dead.
It seems?
Considering the tank's ammo reserve has exploded, the former crew is not very easy to identify. But yes, I do have a feeling the world has seen the last of Wittmann.
Okay, so now let's try to deal with this Panzer IV-F tanks. Let's move Eisenhower in here. Yeah, so basically away from the shore we don't have that powerful naval guns at our disposal, and our air force is running out of juice basically because we cannot provide it with oh, actually we can fire it. Say, I forgot that those late game recons like Greyhounds, they have a decent gun actually. So we can start firing at this tank and get ourselves some advantage. Okay, so do we have any more air force to spare? I guess this one would be needed here. Okay, Tiger Firefly, anti-tank, anti-aircraft gun. Well, I feel like this destroyer would have to go to work against the enemy troops here. Okay, let's move it back and move in with our heavy hitter. Okay, we've captured intelligence about the enemy forces because army rangers have interrogation skill. So they've basically interrogated the captured enemies and learned about locations of all enemy units within 5 hexes. So Let's actually use this anti-aircraft gun to fire at these guys. Okay, and now we can move in with our fighters and finish them off. Great, now let's fire at this Panzer IV-F just to... Okay, so it has Simmerit installed, so it's quite tough. Okay, actually our Firefly tank got damaged, but it still deals decent damage, so let's actually try to deal with those guys. Let's see how... Well, let's actually fire on it to get an overrun, so we can fire again. But we are really running out of gas, basically. Let's move those guys here. Let's move the Fireflies here to capture those guys. Now... okay, so those are quite low on strength. So they should probably just hold on to their position. And I will attack these guys. That's probably the best we can do for now. Although I'd really like to get rid of this anti-aircraft gun finally. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So now... well, this airfield is not supplied yet because of this enemy units, and the enemy holds the supply hub. So we can probably transfer those here, although I'm not sure it's a good idea because we can run out of fuel very easily. And we've already spent a lot to get here, so we should probably just keep fighting this enemy armor with the last of our ammo. And that's it for our air force. Oh, we have one more tactical bomber here actually. So... well, I'd rather attack this guy. Okay, we've gathered some intelligence and finished off these guys and took this forest across the river, so it's really nice defensive position. And let's move in here. Not sure whether I want to attack it in here or not. Probably not. Yeah, I think it's good enough for now. We'll deal with it next turn. And just have to make sure not to lose any planes due to low fuel. Let's move artillery closer. Also, as you can see, our guys here are starting to run out of rounds, but luckily we've established supply in this area at least, so they will get resupplied finally at the end of turn, and we'll keep landing our forces because of our repaired seaport. Oh, additionally, I forgot we could... actually, I should have bombed them first, but you know, it's never too late for a good, nice strategic bombing. Okay, now we can capture these guys. I could have actually overrun all of them by this Firefly if I played it correctly, but... well, I guess there is still some room for improvement. Well, let's actually level up our recon with Eisenhower to be more observant. Should keep his troops in check. Okay. You know, it's quite intense. Like, I've been working on this series from the very beginning 3 years ago, and you know, it's quite intense experience for me, even though I've played this map several times. So it's quite a tough one. If you are new to the game, like, you should really use lower difficulty or play some tutorials first. But it's really nice. I mean, it's action-packed, and it's interesting for me, despite playing our games for the last several years. I mean, I'm still quite excited with this one, actually, and it's really nice to play.
General Eisenhower, the German reinforcement convoy has arrived. It will take them a few days to unload their equipment. If you make haste, you can destroy those divisions before they are combat ready.
Yeah, you see, we've basically just dealt with all these troubles with Whitman and stuff, and the airfield is still under repairs, but we already have to rush here. Well, at least we've kind of crippled the German troops here as well, so they cannot actually attack us in force. Well, at least it seems this way. Although we have some issues with supply, it would seem. Let's fire our artillery. Maybe move it like here. All of our bombers are out of ammunition, so they cannot fight effectively. Let's actually... So our tanks have recovered some of the damaged units. We can now use them cautiously for further attacks, basically. And let's probably cross the river, but not move too much further for now. Let's move our recon in here for now. Okay, so this is the enemy train with reinforcements. I guess we will jump at it next turn with all of our forces. Right now we are just preparing to launch this offensive. Also, we have to land all of our oh, we cannot land them actually. So I was incorrect. You cannot actually land on the well, you can land on like airfields that has no supplies, but you cannot land on a destroyed airfield, basically. So I guess that's really unfortunate. I shouldn't have moved my aircraft this turn. We are just one fuel short for it to survive. So yeah, I guess I've messed up it a bit. Hopefully you will do better. Yeah, let's keep those guys in here for now and move our heavy cruiser here for bombardment, and then maybe some other guys as well. So now we can finally capture the city. Okay, so now that we finally dealt with some of our issues in here, we can start Oh, actually... Okay, it didn't refuel, yeah, because it was out of supplies. So... let's start firing on these guys. And then on that guys. Okay, so, well, anti-tank archer sounds good enough.
The German counterattack has been crushed. The Panzerwaffe will remember this day for as long as they'll exist.
That's not very long, I guess. Okay, so... let's actually keep attacking those guys. Yeah, we don't have much support here, I would say. Well, let's move the archer in here somewhere. Start firing at these guys. Let's take this. Actually, we've got some Gurkhas here with Chaimahali Ayogorkhali, although I'm not sure I pronounced it correctly. Anyways, so they can basically attack with as if they had a full strength, even if they are on low strength. Well, let's actually keep attacking these guys and capture the supply, because now it will run through this airfield and we can actually refuel some of our planes and rearm them and use them to start strafing these guys. Okay, so this is anti-tank gun. Let's actually attack it. Well, those are pretty much have no better job for now than just firing into those pillboxes. Yeah, so these guys are quite low on strength, so I guess I'll just keep them in here and move these guys here for now. Yeah, we need to move our infantry this way now. Okay, let's see how things are going. So these guys are probably better off just holding this position for now. And okay, let's see. So it can fire from this side. So yeah, we'll have we'll move our heavy cruiser there in a couple of next turns, so to help deal with this fort. We'll keep it here for now. Okay, let's finish the turn. Yeah, we've lost one of our aircraft units because of my miscalculation. Actually, should have known that they cannot land there. Okay, enemy tanks got overwatched. But it was a good demonstration for you what could happen if you don't manage your air force properly.
The Germans are unloading from their train transport. Make haste if you want to finish them quickly.
Yeah. So let's use our reconnaissance aircraft here. And let's jump at it with some of our units. I'd better attack it in close combat, because ranged attacks would be not very efficient at night. But I'll at least attack it with artillery first and maybe move it back a bit. Okay.
The German reinforcement convoy has been blown to bits. Give Director Donovan my regards for the tip.
Good job, Omar. Hitler will need some time to recoup those losses. More time than we intend to give him, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's fire on those guys. Well, those tanks are not in a very good shape, but they'll restore some strength, so let's keep them close. And let's move this recon in here. Not much it can do right now. Okay, so the airfield is finally up and running, and it gets supplies. So we can finally replenish our air force and start dealing with the enemy artillery. And actually maybe we could attack it with recon now that we've got our aircraft support running. So let's see. Actually it can work. Okay. Well, it's a bit risky to send it down there, but it seems there is only infantry around, so I don't think they could destroy Greyhound in an open terrain. They could probably if it were in the woods or something. Okay, so now we have to capture this as well. Oh, let's send these two guys to keep capturing it and move those to attack the city. Actually, well, it's not very efficient to bomb at night, but I'd rather start reducing the enemy entrenchment at least. Same here, but we could probably fire with these guns first. Well, yeah, that's not working out too well. Well, we have bishop now, so let's move it in here actually and start wailing on that anti-tank gun, and let's use Gurkhas to fight it as well. Oh, we have two bishops actually, so I guess we could finish off this artillery. Okay, let's move in here. Yeah. Let's actually start moving our heavy cruiser in here and start firing at this artillery fort. We have a range of 5 and it has a range of 4, so basically it cannot damage our heavy cruiser. Yeah, so seems to be okay, although I remember that there was an enemy. Okay, it got ambushed, but I don't think it's much of a use for the enemy. Let's actually send these guys to help out against this unit and transfer those guys here. Don't need them there anymore. And let's actually move in here, although that was probably a bad idea because it's within this artillery fort range, but let's use strategic aviation. Misclicked a bit, but still it worked out decent, so let's bomb it for now to kind of decrease its combat readiness. We could also fire at it a couple of times with these guys. Yeah. Well, let's start moving with the archer actually, because it's not needed here anymore. And let's actually attack those guys. So close quarters means there is like terrain that's unfavorable for armored units. Yeah, so they got severe penalties in there. It's like forest, mountainous terrain, city and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, I think we are done with this turn. Okay, we've overwatched the last enemy bomber unit. Okay, enemies actually had some assault gun there, it would seem. Fortunately, they didn't attack our recon. Well, they wouldn't have damaged it too much at night anyways, so no need to worry too much. Okay, so let's finally deal with these fortifications. Actually, let's move in close, finish off this fort, and start firing here. Let's move even closer, deal with those guys. So basically it's the only point where we can still apply our navy, so let's take full advantage of it and move all of our ships here. Also we can we can actually fire with this guy one last time before taking over Khan, and now we can only use it for so I guess we would need one of those bishops down here to deal with this heavily entrenched guys. Yeah, it's kind of problematic, so let's use our fighters here. Actually, what we could do, we could land our fighters and choose different equipment for them, swap aerial cameras. Bombs would give us 3 hard, so I need soft attack basically. Well, we could use tiny team, but it costs 5 prestige per attack, so it's kind of costly. So I'd rather use bombs as they go for free. They impair air combat capabilities but improve bombing, like attack against land and naval targets. So I would activate bombs because we've already dealt with the enemy air force, and I would keep attacking those guys. So let's actually use our core fighters as well. Let's acquire bombs for them as well, and let's try to bomb these guys. Well, yeah, so now it goes a little bit better. These guys would capture that. Let's actually move bishop this way to deal with those guys. Okay, we've captured these guys. Let's start firing here. Let's move these guys up there. Yeah, let's move Archer here as well, I guess. I think we should start attacking because it's really hard to get those guys out of their entrenchment there. And let's keep moving our battleship. Though I don't think it will be in time for the party in the northern part. Okay, great. Let's move those guys as well. And let's keep moving our Firefly tanks. Yeah, I think that's all there in the west, in the east. Now let's see what's going on here. So let's actually bomb those Stuks and capture them with our HQ. Oh, let's... Okay, so there are some additional enemy units. But now this is just infantry here, so let's move our artillery closer and start dealing with it. So we've destroyed the supply point, and now it would be trickier for us when we overtake this location, because we'll not be getting any supplies. Okay, let's fire at this aircraft and probably move the AA gun there. Yeah, well, it's no use moving tanks in the woods there, so let's just keep them in here for now. Let's move more infantry closer. Let's actually move our M18 here as well. Yeah. Let's move into the city. It offers better protection, although we are running out of supplies. So it... yeah, we also get... actually we get supplies in here. Just on the edge of our supply area. Okay. I might have made some kind of I actually did quite a lot of mistakes while playing here, but despite me being a very experienced player, you should also take into account that basically I'm after a hard working day and didn't use any save loads and stuff like that, so I guess that explains it. I'm not sure we should attack here actually. Yeah, I think this is it. I think we've basically muscled through the most of the enforcers, although he still has some panzers left. But what I was about to say is that the enemy is running out of juice, and now we basically have to finish it off. Okay, so we've dealt with this and can keep moving westward. Okay, so actually let's keep moving all of our forces. Let's reinforce our guys in here with additional troops. Although I guess they are already reinforced with our navy, so shouldn't have worried too much about them. Let's concentrate our fire on this for now. Okay, so our HQ got damaged, and if we lose it, we lose the whole operation, basically, so... let's actually not lose it. Okay, let's bomb those Panzer III Js. Let's capture it to gather some intel about the troops around here. So here we have some anti-tank guns and regulars, and here we have artillery and regulars. So gathering intelligence is really important, because now we know that if we deal with this artillery, the enemy wouldn't be able to attack us with long-ranged attacks. So let's actually move in here. Do we have any aircrafts left? Any aircraft left? Yeah, well, let's use afterburner and start firing at these guys then. Oh, actually, I haven't activated bombs. Oh my. That wasn't right. Okay, let's move these guys in here and then help around there. Let's actually move those priests up here, although they cannot fire now, yeah. So that was pointless. Let's move these guys in here. Okay, any more units? Stay there. I'll move them in here probably. They are now loaded onto their LTV. And let's move. It's fun. It's quite fun watching LTVs go across land, but they could do so. So it's actually nice, and it's makes sense because they've used them during the landing. I think we are done for this turn. It's been a busy week. We are getting ready for a release in just under 2 weeks. So we worked really hard to prepare this free demo for you on the 8th of May, Victory in Europe Day. And we hope that you'll enjoy this demo while we are making final preparations for the launch on the 21st of May. If you want to help out our team, what you can do is add the game to wishlist if you haven't done so before, because it basically improves games' chances on Steam to be more successful if you like it, of course, you can play the demo first and then decide. Although, also, if you decide to purchase the full game, oh, actually, it's got supported by this artillery. My bad. But let's keep going. So, if you decide to purchase the game in the first few days, you will help us out a lot, as like you may know that, but basically Steam studies how the games perform and then promotes them based on their performance. So the more people get the game like in the first week of its release, the more promotion the game gets from Steam. So if you like this type of games, and if you want it to be more successful, to incentivize the developers to make more games like this, not necessarily our company, maybe some other companies as well, then the more successful such projects are, the more likely any dev team is likely to make them. So it would really help if you decide to get the game within the first week. Of course, you can always wait for discounts. That's also an option. So you should really decide based on your budget and how would you like to play the game, at release or later. Of course, it's totally up to you, you know. I'm just saying that if you want to give some additional support to the developers, you might consider getting it earlier, but once again, it's totally up to you. Okay, let's move in here. I think they shouldn't be able to see us here, and we can look at the Duck V actually. Yeah, so let's move Recon in there, and then I think Bishop can. No, it has only 3 range, so it would have to go in there to fire. Well, we can do it next turn then. So, we'd have to go to Nerfield here. Not worth it, I guess. Okay, let's move our tanks in here. Let's actually finish off that artillery. I don't think these guys would be too much of a trouble. Let's finish the turn. Let's move in here. Actually, it's a bit tricky. And once again, I forgot to use bombs, but I won't forget with this one. Okay, let's focus our attacks on it. And finish it off. Okay, our recon moves forward, these guys move forward. Okay, so these guys are out of ammo, so I guess I'll just come in close and attack them. Recon is also out of fuel, but we've captured supply hub. Supply hub basically pumps all the supply into the system, so now we are in supply and we can move in here, spot these enemy units and start firing at them with our naval guns. And actually move in close with our infantry unit, capture them and keep firing at these guys. Although, yeah, partially covered by the mountains here. Let's move in some reinforcements. And let's move in with some artillery and start firing. Though it's almost out of fuel and out of ammo, but it's now in supply, so we'll get resupplied this turn. Okay, let's see what we can do down here, because we kind of... let's see what forces we have available. Okay, I got overwatched. Forgot about it. Yeah, I guess these guys have to go to an airfield right now. I guess we should use our command points, and right now there is basically no other good targets other than here, so we'll use it for this attack. We'll also move these forces also downwards to help out, and we can start moving these guys across. Let's see, what do we have left? Yeah, so all those guys should go for refueling. Let's move Bishop westwards. And yeah, I guess our battleship are still in time for firing on those guys, so that's nice. Yeah, I think I've missed those strategic bombers, so let's actually... okay, they cannot go far anyways, so yeah, let's finish the turn. And actually, if you play the demo, you can later use the save files from it to keep playing the full game. So you can basically download the demo and then play the first operations of the British and US campaign, and then if you like it, you can go for the full game and keep playing from the same spot. So you shouldn't worry about losing your progress or anything like it. I guess we should start by attacking it with our aircraft. And let's start with B-17s. Maybe the enemy, if they destroy additional enemy supplies, so they can basically run out of ammo and fuel. So now they are actually at 1 ammunition. So if we attack them, they are now basically defenseless. Although these guys still have ammunition, but I'll take those captive. Strike against these guys. Well, it's a bit tricky, but we'll manage. I should have bombed them first. But okay, so now we can move, leave these guys here probably and move all of our remaining units in strength up here. So I'd like to place my battleship up there probably, to be able to fire at these guys. And then we can start firing at those guys. Yeah, I guess our troops are also quite not in the best shape, but we are almost finished here. Do we have any... I actually should have attacked with aircraft first. I guess no, we won't be there in time, but let's start moving at least. Actually, we can finish those guys off. Okay, so we have only one unit left and one last objective to take. So I'll tell you a bit about this victory screen. So you can pop it up anytime, and if you if you've already finished primary objectives but you want to keep playing, you can always choose return to game button and then finish any secondary objectives, clear the map basically if you want, and then come back up here. So basically you can get as much as 400 points per operation, and it will determine the type of victory you get. But so it's calculated, as you can see here, like percentage of enemies killed, whether you control all flags and cleared all enemy units gives you plus 25 each. Then secondary objectives, if you complete all of them you get 100 points. Also if you lose units, so as you can see I've lost some but not too much, you also start losing some points. And then you can also get indecision penalty if you play for too long in terms of turns. So, and here you can also see detailed statistics. So we got plus 386 for captured enemy units and destroyed enemy aircraft, and we've got minus 406 for lost units and for the repairs. You don't pay for core units you lose, but basically it's already bad for you because you lost your core unit, as I did with that tank. But overall it went fine. So let's finish the turn, and this would probably be the last one if we can break these last guys at night. We'll see. Let's use bombs. Well, aircrafts are really ineffective against infantry in the city at night. So let's just move our B-17s up here for now. Yeah, I don't think we can actually take it this night turn. Oh, we will try, of course. But I guess we'll have to wait for the next turn. So, but we've destroyed, or rather, basically they have no supplies here, so they won't restore their damage as well. I guess we'll have to just end the turn and finish this time around. Yeah, so this time we did all the secondary objective before the primary one, but it could, you know, it could be different. So yeah, so now you can see that we've cleared all enemies and killed all of the enemy forces. So now we just have to finish primary objectives, and we will also get control all flags for it.
Our forces are making headway into the continent. We now have a big enough beachhead to continuously supply and reinforce our troops in Normandy.
We're off to a good start, Field Marshal. Everything is going according to plan. No throwing us back into the sea now.
I did not expect such a decisive victory, Eisenhower. Operation Overlord is an overwhelming success. We have finally opened the second front in Europe. And now we will not only end its occupation, but stamp out the plague of Nazism forever.
Okay, so we've got a promotion to Lieutenant General, and got 2 awards for getting an absolute victory. So basically in the cinematics you will see characters with their historical rank, but for gameplay purposes we make the main character a bit lower in rank sometimes, so he can get promotions. So in the headquarters you will see your like in-game rank and achievements, and in the cinematics you will see the historical ones. Okay, let's finish the operation, see the outro cinematic, and get to the headquarters room.
Montgomery, what is the meaning of this? It took you 6 weeks to capture Khan. By that time, Bradley's forces had already breached the enemy lines and pushed inland.
Quite so. It was my generalship that made Bradley's breakthrough possible. I drew the German panzer divisions away from Bradley and demolished them.
General, our plan was for a massive, simultaneous advance. You were supposed to capture Khan on D-Day.
It was too well fortified for a tidy victory. Instead of wasting my men, I got Kane at a minimal cost. I knew what I was doing the whole time, I assure you.
That's the goddamn problem, Montgomery. You knew, and nobody else. An army is a team.
Managing our joint forces is not an easy task, Montgomery. Do not complicate it by your improvisation.
General Eisenhower, I fought the Hun out in the field since 1939. And you haven't been in a battle once. You're in no position to school me.
Monty, you watch your damn mouth. Don't forget who you're talking to.
Don't worry, George. Montgomery, be that as it may, I am the Supreme Allied Commander. And we have a chain of command.
Without a doubt, your logistical and organizing talents are admirable. I'll have a good use for them when I'm promoted to Field Marshal.
Okay, so this is the US campaign headquarters. Historically they were located in London, but they are quite lucrative, I would say. And here we get to talk with Bradley and Patton. We'll also have a Montgomery in headquarters for the release. so he will also have his bit to say. So let's hear out what these generals have to say.
Montgomery's plan is too risky, and this is me saying that. Make sure our tanks are ready to rush the enemy the moment we give the word. Something tells me our paratroopers might end up in dire straits.
Basically, he's talking about the next operation, which is Market Garden. As you can see here, you can see the strategic map changing after every battle. So we've landed and took over France, and our troops are making headway in Italy, Greece, and the USSR is attacking from the east. So Germany is in a tough spot for now. Let's talk to Bradley as well.
I agree with Patton. The plan is quite risky, but the gains could be enormous if it succeeds. Of course, Field Marshal Montgomery will be even more full of himself, but that's a price we can pay for liberating Belgium and the Netherlands in one fell swoop.
Yeah, and so this is our like main character, Eisenhower. So here you can learn some HQ skills. There are lots of them actually. So the victory points we got can be spent on acquiring any of those skills. Also here are the units. So those units with the level up can be overstrengths like this. Do not forget to do it, it's a very important mechanic, and it costs you some prestige, but those units become really powerful. The longer you play, like with additional levels, you get additional overstrengths and increase their HP and damage, so that's very useful. Many new players miss this, and it really makes the game more difficult for them. Additionally, here are the level up tabs, equipment tabs with all the relevant equipment for all units. And yeah, so here are also heroes, so you can see what objectives you have to do in order to get any of those. So we are kind of a long way off on this yet, but we'll get them eventually. Yeah, so you can also upgrade your units. There is not too much of upgrades right now, but there certainly will be the ones later. Yeah, so you can also acquire units. So when you just start, you could probably just expand your units pool, get some fighters, some artillery, some additional infantry, tanks and stuff. And then when you've increased the number of units, you can keep upgrading them to newer models to keep their experience and their like experienced crews, provide them with additional equipment, overstrength them, and like choose equipment for every battle. So here you can see a brief summary of what's going on to happen in the next battle. So right now that's the end of the playable demo for the US campaign, but you can always head over to the main menu and select British campaign and play through the first mission of British campaign as well. So like right now we are hard at work for the full release, so if you like our games, just feel free to support us in any way you can, and we'll do our best to provide our games and like update them regularly, as you know we do, and we'll keep you updated on our progress and like on new updates and stuff. But yeah, that's it, and I'll see you in the next broadcast. I'm also planning to finish the British operation after update in the next episode, and then after release on the 21st of May I would play through later campaigns. So yeah,
Best diplomatic effort.
thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can always reach out to us on our email contact at starnigames.com, and also on our Discord channel. You can always find our contacts on our website, starnigames.com, or on Steam community hubs. So if you have any questions, like, we are very responsive to that. I always do my best to find some time and respond to all of the questions the players have. So I always answer them on Discord and on email and on our community hubs. So feel free to jump in and ask any questions you have. Maybe other well, maybe other players would answer those, or I would jump in and give you a couple of like hints. And if you have any suggestions, or like if you encounter any issues, just reach out to us and we'll do our best to help you out. Okay, great. So have a good day and see you in the next episodes. Goodbye.